Hello, my name is Dan. I am from Seattle, Washington. I attended an Iboga ceremony for the week at the end of July of 2019 at the Awaken Your Soul Wellness Center with Anthony and Amber, and it was truly a remarkable experience. Anthony and Amber asked if I could give a testimonial, and so they sent me some questions, and so I thought I'd answer these questions as an experienced practitioner of plant medicines. So the first question is, what led you to work with Iboga? So I've been working with plant medicines for, probably close to 12, 13 years now. Ayahuasca being the first shamanic medicine that I've tried. I've worked with other things, but largely ayahuasca has been my primary medicine to better understand myself. I've always looked at Iboga as the tip of the pyramid of the plant medicines. From all my research on it, the intensity, the duration, and so forth. And so I really did a lot of research about Iboga before deciding to pull the trigger. And through internet research and some referrals, we discovered the Awaken Your Soul Retreat Center in Costa Rica, and that's why we decided to go there. But Iboga definitely is the grandfather of all the plant medicines and is not a simple undertaking, but truly a profound experience. So I do highly recommend it. Second question, what are the most important things that you were able to address so far in this process? As I've said, I've worked with ayahuasca many times, and I find the ayahuasca experiences to be truly profound, but they're unpredictable. They tend to take you where the plant medicine wants to take you. Where Iboga I find to be a much more direct communicator, and it directly answers your questions. So you're able to guide the experience with your consciousness much better than what I have found with ayahuasca. And so the other thing I found with Iboga is that it's a very personal experience. Ayahuasca, you can look very external to yourself about the world, the universe, multiple dimensions. There's so many things that can be explored with ayahuasca. And it, again, takes you where where it wants to take you. Where Iboga, it tends to be very personal. For myself, I had very clear visions of the faces of my past lives, as well as had intense conversations with my ancestors. So I found Iboga to be very powerful in understanding my epigenetic imprints, my ancestral heritage, as well as my spiritual past lives. And that's something that was rather unsurprising to me. As well, the clarity of the visions. It was truly shocking how crystal clear the visions were as far as the faces and the objects that I saw. Whereas with ayahuasca, it's more of a traditional psychedelic with the DMT, and your visuals tend to be more fractals and metaphorical images versus crystal clear visions that I found with ayahuasca. What I found with Iboga. Okay, next question. As a consistent practitioner with ayahuasca, what have you found to be the biggest difference between the two medicines? So ayahuasca has a strong serotonin lift to it. The ceremonies with ayahuasca can be, like any psychedelic, can be good or bad. And again, you never know what you're going to get. So I've had it before where, I had 20 bliss ceremonies in a row, and then I've had 10 or 20 torture ceremonies in a row with ayahuasca. It's very unpredictable, but it's also there to help you work with your issues. Iboga is way more grounded than ayahuasca. You can definitely guide and control the experience more, which I thought was really profound. But it also will take you to areas you need to work on inside yourself. So for me, the second ceremony we had at Awaken Your Soul was very transformative. It forced me to deal with some deep ancestral wounds that I was unaware of. And after a very intense purge, it was a tremendous release, getting that ancestral memory to the surface and really recognizing it as a source of so many anxieties and stress in my life. Iboga it's a very direct teacher. It's not as interpretive as you find with ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is one of those things you'll unpack it, that information for the next couple of years. And one of my metaphors I like to use, it's like a zipped hard drive downloaded in your head for 4 hours that you're unpacking and trying to understand over the next couple of years the experience. Iboga for me was crystal clear. My questions I would ask, I got very, very clear answers to, and there wasn't really much question about what the information was that was being portrayed to me. I found that to be really profound, especially for people searching for answers on themselves and really the universe. One thing that I thought was very rewarding for me with Iboga was I was able to ask external questions about the world and get very clear answers to those questions. Something that was somewhat surprising because I was told, in my readings that Iboga tends to be a more personal experience versus an external experience. Okay, next question. What would you say to people who are afraid to work with Iboga because they've heard that it can be very intense? I think the intensity is overrated. It definitely is an intense experience, there's no doubt, because it runs so long, but you really lose track of time when you're on it. So whether it's an hour or 12 hours, it really makes no difference because you're caught up in this higher realm of consciousness. So the duration I found to be really a non-issue. However, with ayahuasca, I've found from what I've seen in ceremonies, people can actually have way more intense experiences and scary experiences with ayahuasca. I've seen people really have deep breakdowns as they're going through their personal work on ayahuasca. And again, I'm limited with my experience with Iboga, but I didn't see that level of chaos that sometimes can occur in an ayahuasca ceremony. Definitely people are struggling with their issues, like I myself did. I dealt with my ancestral wounds and had to purge, but it was not nearly as painful as some of the ayahuasca experiences I've had in dealing with past wounds. Iboga is not a serotonin lifter, so you don't tend to get the bliss rush that you can get on ayahuasca, but you definitely get a bliss after effect after the ceremony a couple of days as you've alleviated yourself of some of those deep psychological ancestral wounds that everyone has in them. And then the last question is, would you do Iboga again? Absolutely. I plan to make Iboga an annual retreat, time and finances permitting, for myself. What I thought was very profound is I did an ayahuasca ceremony roughly a month after an Iboga ceremony, or my Iboga ceremony in July, and I found myself to be way more grounded and able to guide the visions with ayahuasca, similar to how I would guide things with Iboga. And that's something I haven't been able to do before. So I think Iboga and ayahuasca, the grandfather and the grandmother, are really wonderful partners in this plant medicine exploration many people go on. I think they do work together very well, and I highly recommend those who are ayahuasca practitioners to try Iboga. I think you'll find it will improve your ayahuasca experience, but also Iboga is a true amazing teacher, and I just cannot recommend it enough. But I also recommend whoever does it, please do your research and really mentally prepare yourself for what you'll experience, because Iboga does go very, very deep inside yourself, and you may have to see things about yourself that you may not want to see. But that's all part of self-discovery and personal spiritual advancement. Thank you for listening to my questions.